You're listening to Atlanta Baseball Talk, your weekly podcast for all things Atlanta Braves.
Welcome to show number 279. Today's Sunday, September 14th, 2014, and my name is Steve. I am joined by both Hamilton and Curtis. Guys, let's do it. So in tonight's show, we'll get in Frank Wren's head and start looking toward next year.
Clear out the cobwebs.
Yeah. But first, guys, this horrible, awful, dreadful week. Losing 2 of 3 to the Nats and then getting swept by the worst team in baseball. Ham, there's so much to choose from, but what was the most depressing part for you this week?
The depressing part, so if you look at it tactically, the depressing part for me was blowing the game on Saturday to the Rangers. And I know, Curtis, you were tweeting out that they had not won 2 back-to-back home games ever or something in a crazy long time.
2.5 months.
Yeah. And nothing cures losing like the Braves coming to town. But what was really depressing is as I was thinking about this question, is I just don't care anymore. You know, it's a time when, as a fan, you sort of question everything. And I have to be honest that, you know, this week made me realize that I wonder if this is a team that's underperforming, a good team that's underperforming, or maybe it's just not a good team. Maybe we're just bad. Maybe we have bad coaching. We don't have the right players. And that was depressing, but I didn't care. That was the most depressing thing is we had a horrible week, and I was like, yeah, whatever. At least football has started.
You know, we've been here for a good month, and people were sort of getting down on us, but we've been here for a good month or so of we don't think even if by some miracle they make it to the playoffs that they would get through the first series. We've been rooting for not making the playoffs so big sweeping changes would happen. Like we've been here for a while, but Hammy, it hit me as well this week.
We're not making the playoffs.
Well, that we're not making the playoffs, but all the stuff we've been talking about, you know, there's always a slight glimmer of hope with me that the run is coming and something's going to change. But this week, it was so clearly all over that this team is just done. You know, the playoffs, forget the playoffs. The domination of the Nats is over. The thought that there's any run in this team, I know obviously there's only 13 games left, but that anything good is going to happen, that's what the most depressing part of this was. To go out and lose, you know, to the Rangers in that fashion, it just put a big, ugly, stinky bow on this awful season. And that to me was the most depressing part. Kurt?
Big, ugly, stinky bow. The best kinds of bows.
Well, I was gonna say this Saturday night game, dropping the ball and giving up that game. But I think today, those close games obviously are heartbreakers, but just getting completely dominated by
a bunch of AAA guys.
Yeah, and the lowest scoring team in the American League. It's another one of these teams that's lost X of X coming in against the Braves. The 2.5 months is since they've won back-to-back home games. This is only their second sweep of the season.
Right, and the last one was in April.
Was in April when they still had all their players before the everybody on their team got hurt. Since
before they set a record, I think they've set a record for
most players use. I think it's also most starting pitchers use.
Yeah, I think that's right. Both
that their record has gone 19-57. I mean, that just contemplate how bad that is.
Yeah.
11 of 12 they lost, and then you go in there and get swept. And I mean, you know, the first 2 games, your starting pitchers give up 1 earned run, and you go 0-2. Mm-hmm. And if that doesn't sum up this season, then really nothing else does. So I'm with Ham. I mean, I guess I'm probably always the most cynical one on the show, but it's tough when you see it coming I take no pleasure in the fact that I saw this coming a long time ago and that it came to fruition, because this is not what I want from this team or from the Braves or from being a Braves fan. It's depressing. And this weekend was the crap bow, whatever you said it was. It was exactly that. So
I don't think he said that, but that's even better.
But crap bow may be better than
yes,
stinky bow.
I'm once again coining a phrase.
Well, the thing is,
go ahead, Ham.
well, it's just that you were talking about all these stats that you guys had, and it seemed that every year, last year we had the most one-run wins, I think, and then the year before it was come from behind wins. We always seem to have something that we can hang our hat on as a team, and this team has lost any kind of winning identity. And it's just bad. The pitching obviously is much better than the offense, and Wood and Tehran were just amazing this weekend. So I don't want to dump on them, but this team has a loser's identity, and it's depressing as a fan.
Yeah, I mean, forget they don't have a winning identity. They're just not winning games.
Right, but
Right?
I get that, but you can always say, well, it's tough luck, injuries. They've been healthy this year,
Yeah.
other than the pitching. And really, it's
Right,
the
but that was
it's
spring training.
Yeah, and it's the offense that we're really talking about right here. I mean, they're the one who are really letting the team down. But you can play well and lose. These guys are not playing well and losing. They're just losing. We have a loser's identity on a team, and it's hard as a fan to cheer for them and to care, to become. I mean, how long can you just be outraged at ineptness before you just give up and throw in the towel as a fan? It's very trying times as someone who follows the Braves.
Yeah, so Ham, do you still find this team rootable? Are you like getting up for the games and it's exciting to watch the team perform now?
It's not. It's hard. It's really hard. When they are down, I'm expecting them to stay down, and when they're up, I'm expecting them to blow it somehow. I don't have faith. It doesn't give me pleasure to watch the games.
That's a very good description for me too. There is like no pleasure in watching the team now. There really isn't.
And there's no and there's no like, oh, well, I'm really excited to see how this guy is blossoming, or it's really setting us up for something great next year, and we can take the lumps this year. I have no faith in next year. I'm very nervous about the off seasons. I do not like how we are positioned right now, both in the short term, for this, the handful of games remaining and watching us not make the wild card. But next year, I don't have confidence in anything.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because we are hoping for the house cleaning, but we have Frank Wren at the helm to do that, and it's hard to trust that he's going to do a good job. We certainly don't trust him with free agent acquisitions. He finds great, bullpen guys for a year or two, but if he's really going to try to pull off some big trades with Gaddis, with BJ and, with Chris Johnson, are you trying to figure out something with Hayward or Justin? I don't know that I trust that he's going to do a good job. So I'm with you, and the only thing I would disagree on that is the one thing that has been exciting the last month has been Alex Wood. Like, I'm excited to see a full year of Alex Wood and just what a dominating starter he's going to be next year. But beyond that, I have grown to find the team kind of unlikable this year. BJ obviously unlikable. I find Justin and the errors so unlikable. I love Simmons in the field, of course, but the awful hacks and the falling over the plate, so unlikable. I'm just finding the team unlikable, Is any of that happening for you guys?
Well, I find Fredi Gonzalez unlikable.
Yeah. Fredi.
And I think that really kind of wears off on the whole team for me, because he once again sets the tone for how everything runs. And I know that people will say, oh, well, the manager doesn't control that much, and you're putting too much placement on who he is and what he can do, and he doesn't play and all these kind of things. But if that were the case, then you wouldn't have good managers. You wouldn't have guys that were better than others. I don't think he's a good manager. I've not. I mean, I say it every single week, but I don't get the sense that that they're fighting. I mean, that's the other thing. They're 3-8 this month. They were right. They were mathematically still alive, and there's no fight. There's nobody that's gone out and batted 600 and carried the team. That's just had some amazing Chipper Jones-esque month or something that's placed it on its back. Just starting pitching. You say Alex Wood. I'm excited. I'm hoping that obviously Mike Minor didn't have a good start today, but we saw how good he had gotten when when they made those adjustments. You throw in Tehran and Minor, if he's on top of it, and Wood out there as our top three, I'm excited about all of that, but I'm not going to be excited about watching those guys have to lose 2-1 50 times, 60 times a year. I'm tired of that. And I'm tired of this offense. And I'm tired of these guys not producing and not really seemingly to be really all that upset about it. I mean, we keep talking about wanting somebody to break some toilets in the visiting clubhouse or do something, get fired up, have Fredi go out and get thrown out of a game, do something.
It's amazing that hasn't happened.
Do something. Get your team fired up, and you're not. And your team is cratering, and they're done. You just got swept by the worst team in Major League Baseball. You just got swept by the Gwinnett Braves, basically. And I mean, you're 3-8 this month. It's embarrassing, and they're just a lack of fight that they've shown. That's what's made it unrootable for me. There's still players that I love on this team, but the effort is unacceptable.
When the score today went to like 6-0, I think, I thought to myself, against the worst team in baseball, we're about to get swept. If this were a different organization, and if we were in a different city, Fredi would be fired before Monday's game and replaced by TP as the interim coach for the rest of the season. Now, I'm not expecting that, and I don't even know that that's the right thing to do. That kind of disruptive stuff, I don't know that I even think it's the right thing with 13 games left. But, Kurt, don't you think that this series in particular, this sweep at the hands of the Rangers, seals Fredi's fate? He's not going to be the manager next year?
Because it's the Braves and because it's the way the Braves operate, there's still 60% of me, maybe more, that in my heart thinks, sadly, that Fredi is going to be back next year. But I think even with this organization, this plateau has to be accounted for. And I think there are definitely going to be heads that are going to roll. You talked about Frank Wren a good bit. Who's to say he doesn't get fired too? I just looked at some numbers before the show, and it's like the most pivotal month of the year, really, when you're a team that's going into the playoffs. And the Braves, since Fredi's been their manager, are under 500 in September. 3-8 this September, as I mentioned. 9-18. Of course, the epic collapse back in his first year. You look at a team like the Cardinals, who seem to be our nemesis, but are also our antithesis. They're 61-32 over the last 4 years in September, and those are teams that finished with 88 wins. Those are not teams that won 110 games. I mean, those are teams that got it together at the right time of the year, and of course, we saw what they did in the postseason. This is not a guy, I feel, that steers you and leads you into the playoffs. He did have one 19-8 September, but he is not producing at the time, and the team is not producing under him at the most important times of the year. So I'm hoping and praying that he is not our manager next year. So I hope he sealed the deal.
The quotes of, we played 140 games, and it's a shame we're not playing good baseball right now. It's true, and I can't argue with that, and that's really kind of the facts, and there's only so much Fredi can do, and the players need to produce, but I don't want to hear that from the manager. I want something more. We've been talking about it, I want him to be angry, I want him to be, just saying, look,
culpable?
Something, right. Take the blame, or go crazy on the players, do something. But just that sort of shrug of the shoulder
your cap.
quotes.
Yeah.
Tip your cap.
It's never happening. He's not going to do what Ron Washington did. I don't know if he has the character to do that. He's I'm 100%.
Do you mean he's not going to take the Braves to back-to-back World Series? Is that what you're referring to?
Or do you mean do a bunch of coke or have sexual allegations against him about a clubhouse reporter?
It's funny, all of those things is what I was talking about, and to recuse himself because he lost the team. I'm 100% sure that Fredi's coming back. I'm 100% convinced, and I don't think that's the right thing necessarily. We've talked about the fact that unless Fredi lost the clubhouse somehow, unless the team had turned on him,
Hasn't he lost the clubhouse though?
No. There is no strife. I mean, unless there's something happening we don't know about, people are sticking up for their coaches. The teams is just, heads down. Well, we're still doing well. He has not lost his clubhouse.
Well, they're sticking up for the batting coaches. I think he's lost the clubhouse in a we've given up, we have no fight kind of way.
Yeah, I was about to say there's different ways of losing the clubhouse. There's obviously the one where everybody's infighting and backstabbing and all those kind of things. And then there's another one where it's just like, when you have the substitute teacher and the class goes crazy because there's no discipline. And I think it's the latter with Fredi.
But he's never had the clubhouse then. Right, he's never ever had that.
Yeah,
he's never had a leader.
but he also had guys in the clubhouse that
but that's not Fredi's fault.
But they managed that operation
it's that
for
leadership
him.
void that he's not filled
and doesn't care to fill.
So I agree. I agree with you guys that we need. It's not happening. It's just not happening. We had the injuries at the beginning. So here's Frank Wren. All right, well, we were in the wild card hunt up until the last few weeks of the season. We had those serious blows of the starting pitching. BJ is horrible. That's not Fredi's fault, although playing him is. But who else is he going to play? Schaefer? Pena? Right? So he's done horrible, but there's enough for them to bring Fredi back. Fredi is coming back next year. I would be shocked if he's not.
I will be shocked if he is the manager next year.
Stevie, that would be so out of character with this team. That is more hoping. That's hoping. That is so out of character for this team.
You know what? This has been an awful season. This has been a below 500 season, aside from the 17-7 start. This has been an awful, awful season, and they are the attendance numbers were terrible this year. They're moving to Cobb. They are not bringing Fredi back next year. I'm telling you guys, Fredi is not the manager next year. This has been enough to make that true.
Nor should he.
It's not true.
I mean,
he shouldn't be for sure.
But
on
you're
top
hoping.
of everything,
That's not the Braves.
He should
the Braves
not be
do not
coaching
operate
this
that
team
way
anymore.
Kurt, you said it. That's that. Or maybe Steve, you said it. The Red Sox, the Yankees, the teams that live, just more. I don't know. With bigger swings and they just put more into their team. But that's not the Braves. The Braves are not going to fire Fredi. They're just not. I would be shocked. You can hope all you want, but it's not the Braves. It would be so out of character, and the Braves do not make out-of-character moves like
Tammy,
this.
I'm telling you facts. I'm not hoping. I'm telling you how it's going to happen.
All right. When? When does it happen? Mr. Know-It-All.
Oh, in the off season. No, he's not going to get fired before the end of the season.
And Steve, honestly, you said that they shouldn't fire him now, or that wouldn't. I think they should. I mean, they absolutely should. This is the youngest team or one of the youngest teams in baseball. You want to shake up their approach, the malaise. You can, the dude, before the season's even over. You make such an impact on these dudes. That's like, look, this is no longer acceptable. This is beyond unacceptable, and to the point that we're firing the manager with 10 games left in the season or something. I mean,
but who's that? How does that light a spark under Fredi? Freddie Freeman or Jason Hayward or any of those guys? They think they're going to get fired. They know where they stand with this team. That's not. It's not. I mean, I agree.
And then in the offseason, you make the moves and you ship half this team out.
It's just not the Braves.
Well, it should. I mean, it's beyond. But it's beyond.
It should be. It should be. I agree with you. I agree with you guys that it should be. That's not where I'm arguing. We need to throw a chair, tear down a visitor's clubhouse, manager, fiery person. If this is on me, I will not stand for this. But that's just not us.
I don't even know if you need that fiery guy. You just got to have somebody that demands some accountability.
Well, and we just need a better manager.
Well, sure.
We just need a better manager.
And I mean, again, you look at what Fredi Gonzalez has done as the manager. I know they've won all these games. People will throw that bucket back in our faces every single time. But since he's been manager, you had his first year, you had the epic collapse. The second year, you lose in the one-game play-in. The third year, again, you played terribly down the stretch. So you end up having to face the Dodgers in the first round of the playoffs, which is obviously the worst team that you have to face in the first round of the playoffs. And that's because they played so poorly down the stretch. And then again this year. And it hasn't even been a collapse. I mean, yes, this has been their worst month mathematically, but this has been, since that first month, this has been 500. I mean, it's not like this has been some great team that all of a sudden collapsed down the stretch. This has been a completely average team all season long.
All right, so guys, this should be a rhetorical question, but why don't you answer all the same? Postseason hope meter, scale of 1 to 10. And again, just to define it, that means getting past the 1-game play-in and actually into the 5-game wild card series. Kurt, where are you at?
I'm at a negative because like Hamilton, I'm worried about the long-term future of the Braves. I do think that they've got some great pieces in place, but their front office, their managerial staff, other than their pitching coach, and so many parts of their team are just not of the caliber that's going to get you anywhere. So it's clearly a 0 this year. And going forward, until they make some really compelling things happen with this team, it's going to be very low, because I don't think that the structure that they have in place with the front office with Frank Wren, the managerial staff with Fredi Gonzalez, and so many parts on this team, that you're not going to have success in the postseason with the pieces that are in place.
Ham, how about you?
Same. I'm a negative only because I don't think we're making the 1-game wild card. So if a 0 is actually, or I guess I'm a 0.
Yeah, I'm a 0 too. All right, so let's stay with Frank Wren, guys, and let's assume that Frank keeps his job. Although I don't, look, he could be gone too. So, Ham, is there any rational... Are you laughing at me?
But go ahead. It's like we're doing a radio show for a different baseball team. You guys have all of a sudden forgot the team that we're doing the baseball show with. But anyway, go ahead.
So, Ham, is there any rationalization that Frank or the front office can come up with where the starting 8 comes back essentially intact next year?
There's not. Offensively, absolutely not. There's no hiding behind, well, this team was injured, underperforming. If we just come back and get them next year, it'll be great. That just doesn't exist. You would be a fool if you were. I'm even to the point where all the talk about what if we could re-sign Justin and re-sign Hayward for the offseason, and all I can help feeling like is, really? No, don't do that, because that is that team. Then we're right back where we were. And this gets back to the whole conversation. I feel like there's so much that needs to be done in the offseason, more than can be literally done. And I'm depressed about our chances. This is the worst show ever. I'm depressed about our chances. I don't think there's any way that Frank can say, let's just bring these guys back and give it one more go and hope the ball bounces our way. However, I'm not 100% convinced that doesn't happen.
Even though this starting 8 essentially the same guys won 96 games last year. I mean, is there a possibility that they'd look at that? So I think that BJ is gone. I think that they package up BJ with, God forbid, Minor or Wood, and so that they have some money left over to sign a free agent center fielder. But everyone else really could be back. Don't you think? If they get rid of BJ, everyone else could be here.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, Simmons and Freeman and Chris Johnson are signed. Their second base combo is still in their rookie contracts. If they don't move Gaddis, he'll still be here unless they move him. So, yeah, I mean, and obviously Hayward and Justin are still under contract through next year. So, sure, it's totally conceivable that they think that this year is just this blip, that everything that went wrong offensively could go wrong. All these guys underperformed, as opposed to looking at last year, maybe they all overperformed, and this is more along the lines of what we can expect. But in this, yeah, I mean, if you look at it oppositely, that there's only 3 or 4 positions that should be kept, that you should look for a second baseman, that you should get get rid of Chris Johnson, that you should trade Gaddis for his value, and that you should get rid of BJ at all costs. So, and then Hayward and Justin are only have 1 year left on their contracts, and you can't let them walk without getting massive returns from them. So, yeah, I mean, I see your point, but you would hope that they would do something to hone this into a much better offensive team. But I can see that they come back and that they justify it by saying they just have bad years.
See, I think what's going to play out is that they do get rid of BJ and they trade Gaddis, and that's all that happens. And we're stuck with Chris Johnson. And, you know, I really would love for them to trade Justin. I really would. You know what? Justin's been great at times, but he can go so cold, and his glove is just an atrocity. You know, his glove goes so cold. But we really could, you know, wake up next spring and BJ's gone, Gaddis is gone, everyone else is still here. And that would not be satisfying, right? I mean, at least get rid of Chris Johnson. I don't know what we're really going to get for Gaddis. Are we getting like a major league ready second baseman for Gaddis and a prospect? Or are we just getting a couple of prospects for Gaddis? Are we really trading Gaddis just to build up the farm system and just, you know, put Betancourt in there? And I mean, what are we really getting for Gaddis?
I think the latter. I think you can probably pry a couple of, maybe one really good prospect and then maybe one decent. You know, maybe you can pull top 18 prospects from some team.
So is it really worth it? The guy will be $500,000 next year and hit a bunch of home runs. And he's not terrible behind the plate. Like, there's so much, you know, Gaddis is going to get traded. I just don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think there's more to be gained by the addition by subtraction of getting rid of Chris Johnson than there is of getting rid of Gaddis.
Well, but do you think the fan blowback, and I know that we three are not alone in our disdain for what's going on with the Braves right now, but do you think if they were to bring this product back, essentially intact, top to bottom, with Fredi, Ham's boyfriend, back on top of the team, and do they think that jettisoning BJ will all of a sudden clean up all the bad taste that we have in our mouth from this season, and everything will be fine and rosy come next year, and everybody, hey, look, it's.
Well, that's my point about Fredi. I think they can't do that, and it's going to include some of the players as well. They can't trot this team and Fredi back out next year. They just
and they have to start thinking about that new stadium. I know that we keep talking about that, but if they go into that thing with coming off a year like this, and are just flat, and with fan reaction and excitement just at a total ebb, you know, I mean. You know, McGirt talks about basically all this business side of the stuff. If he thinks that move simply with this team and this coming off a season like this with this manager in place, that going into that place that they're going to generate a lot of energy just because they're in a new stadium, I think he's going to be sorely mistaken.
Yeah. All right, guys, a couple of quick announcements. So first, all of our shows are also available on our new YouTube channel, which you can find by searching Atlanta Baseball Talk. And when you find us, subscribe. Also, we have a new Facebook fan page, so go out there and like us. You can find that at facebook.com/Atlanta Baseball Talk. All right, so guys, it's time for Shot in the Dark, our prediction for the coming week. But first, let's check back on last week. So, Kurt, you predicted the Braves starters would give up 20 runs and lose 4 of 6. You crazy optimist. Winning 2 games this week. The starters gave up 16, not 20, but of course we did lose 5 of 6.
Well, but how many did the starters lose? Because Carpenter lost one of those.
Let's not pick
bits. I just thought you were talking about. I didn't look at that. I thought you were talking about the games. Okay. Well, you can go back and you can tweet out.
I love Ham. That's not fair.
I didn't say that's not fair. You just said that. I've not said a word.
All right, so Ham, you predicted that Gaddis would hit 275 and 2 home runs. My God, you were so far off.
Yes.
All right, so he was out the entire week with strep throat because that's how things are going for the team. Right
yes,
now.
Exactly.
What, did he catch that when he was in second grade or something? I mean, it was.
I know. Is he still need to get his tonsils out?
Yeah.
Adenoids removed.
And I changed my prediction after we.
That's
off.
not fair.
No, Kurt, you were very uncomfortable with it. You felt that the integrity of this whole segment had been
That's
compromised.
true. And if there one thing I count on, it's the integrity of this segment.
Yes.
So I changed mine from Goslin will hit 2 homers to Strasburg would dominate us and pitch 8 innings of 1-run ball. Now, of course, he was the only win of the week, and he went 6 innings and 3 runs. So the win goes to Curtis.
That's not fair.
Yeah. So, Kurt, I think, sorry, I don't have my notes in front of me, but I think that you are up 2-0.
No, because you won. I thought, didn't you
I
win last
Okay,
week?
yeah, that's right. The Justin's number of hits, I think, last week. So it's 1-1. Kurt and I, Hammy, with 0.
The only thing to cheer for
Yeah, really.
these days.
Right, and it's all like the negative ones now that win every week.
Exactly.
know,
It's so
seriously.
true. It's so true.
All right, so let's check in on our listener-submitted shots in the dark for the past week. So Harrison Clay on Twitter predicted the team would go 5-1 with 30 runs scored over the 6 games. I'm so sorry, Harrison. And then on Facebook, Jeff Saunders predicted we'd sweep the Nats. So yeah, those
See,
guys.
that's what you get. Yeah, that's what you get for going optimistic.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we ask for listener shots in the dark every week. We'll pick our favorite few. We'll track it for the week and discuss it on the show next week. Please submit them by Twitter or Facebook and use the hashtag ABTSITD and get those in before first pitch on Monday. All right, so guys, this week, Curtis, what do you got?
Very specific numbers. Hayward, 285, 7 hits, 1 home run, 3 stolen bases.
Wow. Okay, yeah, if you get that, I think you get like 2 points.
I'm going to have my shoes bronzed if I get that.
All right, Hammy, how about you?
350. So Freddie Freeman, with the Mets, I think this is a big week for him. He goes crazy, hits 350, 2 doubles, 6 RBI.
Wow. All right, I've got Harang. And by the way, how about Harang's bounce back this week?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he pitched a great game. All right, Harang, 7 innings, 0 earned against the Nats, but the Braves lose the game.
Steve, don't pollute this show with any of that optimism.
All right, so guys, let's look at the week ahead. It is there's 13 games left, guys. There's not much left. All right, so 6 games this week. It's the start of the final homestand of the season. 3 with the Nats and 3 with the Mets, and here are the pitching matchups. So we start off with Santana-Strasburg, and God, Santana's start was awful this week. So Strasburg, 3.46 ERA. What do you guys think happens? What's Strasburg's line going to be this week? Again, last week he went 6 innings, 3 earned. Kurt?
I'm going to go with that. 6 innings, 3 earned.
All right, Hammy?
I think he's going to be more like your shot in the dark, Stevie. I think he kills us. I think he goes it's 7 with 1 earned.
All right, I'm going to go 5 innings, 4 earned. I think, I was ready to believe it last week, obviously, but he's just, he really is a bit of a case about the Braves. I don't think he's the one guy who they haven't gotten who, oh my God, I'm going to stop talking. All right, next. Harang Roark with his 2.96 ERA. He dominated us in early August. And then Alex Wood against Gio Gonzalez with his 3.79 ERA. On to the Mets series, Tehran Zach Wheeler and his 3.61. Minor Nice and his 3.66 ERA. And then the final game will be Santana and I believe DeGrom with his 2.62 ERA. So, Hammy, what's going to be the record this week?
I think we go 1-5.
Oh boy!
I think we get swept by the Nats, and I think we beat Wheeler.
All right, Curtis.
2-4.
1-1.
Yeah.
I actually think we go 3-3 this week. I think we lose 2 to the Nats, but take 2 from the Mets.
Whoa!
I know.
A breakthrough.
Exactly.
Best week ever.
Oh God! So just in case folks haven't noticed, before we wrap it up, 4 games out of the second wild card spot, and 1.5 behind the Brewers, who are 2.5 behind Is that right? Yeah, behind the Pirates. It is a tough road. All right, guys, that is the show. Everyone, please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as iTunes or Stitcher so that you don't miss any of our weekly shows. And as always, check us out at AtlantaBaseballTalk.com for past shows, to check out our blogs, and to post in our comment section. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at ATL Baseball Talk and to like us on Facebook. Thanks again for listening, everyone, and go Braves!
Thanks for listening to Atlanta Baseball Talk, your weekly podcast for all things Atlanta Braves. To find new shows, to post in our forum, or to send a comment, please visit us at AtlantaBaseballTalk.com.